And we'll have a email that will link you to the website where you can look at these, download these. At the end, I have instructions how to do time-lapse videos. That's kind of my thing. So with that, we'll go ahead. So there, what do I like to take pictures of? Birds are a fascinating subject. The infinite color habitat, you name it, it's worth it. I like to take pictures of insects, bugs, flowers. My daughter's toe with a
Yes.
dragonfly on it. Oh, this is fun. This is, I hijacked a bunch of monarch butterfly caterpillars and raised them. And, well, it's kind of slow, but this is the first phase of metamorphosis. And he sheds his skin and wait a couple weeks and a butterfly pops out. So that's kind of one of my little nature time lapse kind of things. I like animals. I got a gorilla hanging on my leg right there.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not supposed to touch them, but you didn't tell them. They're not supposed to touch you. And he did. He came up. We made friends. You know, so animals are fascinating and, you know, I like taking pictures of them. It's just endless combination of things. Landscapes, I like landscapes. If you've ever been to New Mexico, that's a really cool thing there. Mount Rainier. Hey, that's the Monument Valley, you know, John Wayne's favorite spot. So, you know, I like to get out. I like to see that stuff. But what do I really like? Well, wait, night skies. I like night skies, and I haven't seen any UFOs yet. I go out, I look up all the time. I take Milky Way, the moon. Bill will tell you about the moon. We chase that darn thing all the time. But I haven't seen any UFOs. I bet I'm gonna. I'm telling you, seen the Skylink stuff, but I haven't seen any UFOs. I love rock art. I have a big collection of rock art. I was almost going to give a presentation on this. Someday I might, but most fun of that is just finding it. And it's crazy stuff. It really is. My favorite thing is travel. And that's what I've crossed every line of demarcation on the planet except the Antarctic Circle. And maybe someday I'll get there. But go, see, do. That's the theme. I like. Where do you go? What do you do? What do you see? Those kinds of things. So what do I think travel photography is? I'm telling a story. And it's all about where did you go? What did you see? What did you do? Travel photography is kind of different than landscape. You know, landscape, you get up at 4 a.m, you go to the best place. Some of us do. I hear you don't. That's what Jim said.
I do. That's a bad rumor.
Well, I'll stick up for you next trip. So you don't get the perfect light when you're traveling. You know, you take your picture when you're there, so you do the best you can with it. You know, and what you're trying to remember is you're trying to find things that help tell the story. What's the size? You know, what's the surroundings? You know, what's the environment? So you don't get the perfect picture. You're trying to contribute to your story. That's the whole deal. So, you know, here's a case where, what's the story here? I-25, it could be. Well, really what this is, there was a baby elephant and all the guides had radios. You can see the radio antennas. So they're all on the radio, la, 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 la. Bam, you got 400 cars there and you can't see the baby elephant. So if you've ever been on safari, that's what you see. So the main event here is August, September, and October of last year. My wife and I did a trip, 10,371 miles, 2 countries, 4 states, 2 provinces, 2 territories in 50 days, driving this truck and dragging that trailer. And we went all the way up to Tuktoyaktuk on the Arctic Circle and then cut over and down into Alaska and meandered around down in Alaska and then came back home. So we're going to go through that trip. Not all of the Alaska trip. I can't have enough time to go there. So we'll focus mostly on the Arctic trip up to the Arctic Ocean. And for photographic equipment, looks like a Nikon ad. I got a couple of Nikon cameras, a Z8, a Z7. I like this little baby Sony too, that's baby cam. I use a nice long lens for wildlife. This was the star of the show, 28-400. I had that on the Z8 and that thing sat on the console of the truck. So when you're driving around, you see something, you just whip it out, shoot it with a 400mm reach. It works pretty well. Nice sharp photo. So the vast majority of the photos in this show are from that 28-400 on that Z8 frame. I also have some zone stuff in here, drone stuff in here. This is a DJI Mini 4 Pro, and it's fun to get an upper view and look around, like composition stuff with that. And in here, back to the baby cam, that fits in your pocket. So it goes where a lot of this other big stuff can't.
Is that the 200mm? Is that one?
It goes 24-200, it's
Yeah.
Mark 6.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a nice little camera, takes beautiful pictures.
I don't know.
So we hit the road and we're in Alberta and I see this thing pop up on the map, head smashed in buffalo jump. And that just got my curiosity. I had to go and see what it was. And what it is a cultural site where the natives would run the buffalo off the cliffs. They'd have hunters with clubs at the bottom of the cliffs and they'd collect a whole bunch of buffalo that way. And it was just interesting to see that. And again, that name got my attention. So I went there and I saw that. So when you're out on the road, you got to see the local tourist traps. And that was a good one. So you also, when you're on this route, you drive through Banff and you're on the Trans-Canada Highway. And Banff is like Rocky Mountain National Park and it gets crowded. And I was in a traffic jam and I'm sitting in the car. So I opened the sunroof. I took a picture of that mountain out the sunroof. And all the people in the traffic jam are looking at me like, who is this nut? He's just a tourist. Yeah. Turon. I claim that. Further up into Banff, you see the Icefield Parkway, and there's some gorgeous things up in there. You have glaciers and just beautiful rugged mountains. So on the way, you see some good stuff. We're hightailing it here. We're driving pretty good. You stop for the night, and you get up the next morning and just go again. So these are drive-by shootings. I didn't stop, until I got into British Columbia and Mount Robson Provincial Park in British Columbia, beautiful place. We camped there and we try when we camp to get off the asphalt, find a trail, find a dirt road, find something. And that way you can kind of enjoy a little bit without seeing a bunch of people. So, I've run out chasing rainbows. I just thought that was a fun little thing then. So when you see a rainbow, sun behind you, rain or mist in front, sun low in the sky, morning or evening. So, we're going to take a couple of days off. We're going to see some things. This place has gorgeous mountain valleys, rushy rivers, turquoise waters. Waterfalls, fast rapids. And these hikes took you right along. You could get right up over the edge. They had railings up so people wouldn't jump in. I suppose some Turons might have tried that at one time. And we took a little side trip, and these old wooden truss bridges. I love these things. I used to live back out east and around Ohio. In Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania have wooden covered bridges. And I've done a bunch of backwater or back road tripping and photographing of those things. And that reminded me of that. So that's why I brought it home. It had some interesting little things on it. These plaques were individually painted and they all had different images. And what I found out was that this is a spawning ground for the Chinook salmon. It's 800 miles away from the Pacific Ocean. So these crazy fish have to swim 800 miles to spawn. I saw one. Spawning had just begun. It wasn't really in full swing yet.
Could you explain the term Turon?
Well, if you're a tourist and a moron, fine.
Wow.
Right? There's a website. If you want to see what Yellowstone Turons, there's a YouTube channel. You can see the dummies go up there with a cell phone and take a picture with this. Hey, buffalo, what's going on? That buffalo running right down. So yeah, that's the Turon. So
Is that where you put honey on your wife's hand and ask the bear to lick it?
well, that might work. My wife, I'll tell you a story about that here in a couple seconds. these mountain hikes in this Mount Robson Park are beautiful. You know, you see it's green, it's lush, it's gorgeous. They have these alpine lakes. It's really pretty. And they also have these little signs posted that tell you there's a bear hanging out. And I didn't know if that was a Bigfoot or a bear. I figured it was a bear because they put the sign up. And when you look around, what you see is you're walking in a blueberry patch everywhere. You could take a bucket, you could fill it in 3 minutes. You know, and the bears, they're leaving their signs. So, yeah, they're warning me, they're telling me there's wildlife around and you can see signs of it. And then I look down and, oh, there he is. 10 feet away from me, just off the side. You know, I'm up on this elevated trail and he's down there. I saw the brush moving and, I'm taking the camera. My wife's over my shoulder with bear spray. She's my gunner. She protects the Turon from my normal tendencies. So she's back there. Don't worry, I got it. He didn't care about me at all. He went back to eating. I sat there with this auto fire thing going, and I think I got 200 pictures of that guy. And you can see his mouth going, eating the berries. He was just having a good time. Whoop, wrong way. Sorry. Pretty rivers to cross. You know, we're back on dirt roads. You know, and again, when you find that dirt road, when you get off the asphalt, you get away from the people, you can find some peace. You can take your time and enjoy things. Not that I don't like people, but it's just nice to have quiet. There's your happy tourist guy here. We get on the Alaska Highway to take this trip. The Alaska Highway is, I don't know how much story you know about it, so I'll abbreviate it. Back in the Second World War, when the Japanese attacked, they realized we don't have a road going to Alaska to protect it if we need to. So they went for an all-out engineering effort, monumental construction project, when completed 1,700 miles long, traversing the most rugged and remote territory in North America. And you take that up into Canada. It goes all the way through Canada and all the way up into Alaska. So we're on that road for part of the trip. And that's me with the happy face. It starts in Dawson Creek and ends in, it goes all the way up into Alaska. So it's 1,700 miles, pretty good. You know, you can see some wildlife along the way. And you know, what's the difference between a caribou and a reindeer? Nothing, they're the same thing. Genetically, they're the same thing. They are domestically raised in Europe, and that's where you get the name reindeer. And they're maybe doing some selective breeding like we would with local cattle and that kind of stuff, but genetically they're the same. No difference. Along the way, we saw other animals. These are wood bison. They're not the same as bison that we know here. They're a little smaller variety, and they're endangered, unfortunately. And they're endangered for several reasons. Number one, they were overhunted, which is a pretty normal or pretty consistent thing. And the other problem is they clear the roads, and the roadsides are clear, and there's beautiful grass. These guys like this beautiful grass, and they just don't know when to stay off the road. So they're endangered by the cars. And they don't look up. You know, a deer, you'll see a deer look up, you'll see the eye flash. These guys don't. They stay head down. And so they'll be right in the middle of the road, and you won't know it until you hit one. I like some of the pretty bridges, you know, I'm stuck on these kinds of things here, but this infrastructure that they built, when you think about that, this was back from 1942 through the wilderness, and they built this bridge. So it was pretty cool to look at, appreciate the difficulty of how they built it and what they built and where it was, and just the scenery around it. Another tourist trap here. This is the signpost forest. There's so many signs you can't even see the sign. But there's like 100,000 signs there. It's just like another tourist trap. You got to get out of the car and look. So we did. And there's signs from everywhere. Signs from Colorado, signs, you name it, it's there. 100,000 signs in this place. And it's just a curiosity along the road. And so after 2 days of that, just more drive-by shootings and stopping at tourist things, we found another stop. This was a great place. This Muncho Lake. and it's 59 degrees north, which we're 40 degrees north here. And the North Pole's 90 degrees, so we're getting up pretty far. This was my favorite camp spot. Mountains around, you have a beautiful lake, clear water, the mountain backdrops in it, the camp was right on the beach. So, hey, let's break out our kayak. We have a inflatable kayak, it's a double, and it's pretty sturdy. And my wife sits in the front. I make her paddle, I take pictures. And she always accuses me of not paddling enough, which is true, But here you go, riding along, beautiful sun. That's that little Sony cam. That thing's stuck in my life vest, and you take it out and it does a great job for that. Beautiful water. And there's a fishing camp just down the beach. They fly in, fly out. We're paddling along. Wait a minute, all of a sudden this dude shows up, and he's fly over your head, land right next to you. So fortunately, they don't make big waves, so we didn't drown. But it was pretty cool watching that happen, coming in. So here was I set up on the beach, the sun's coming, I got about 40 minutes, right? That works around here, 15 minutes finger kind of thing. And sunset's close. I thought, well, 3 hours later, the sun doesn't go across your head. The sun goes around the block, and it doesn't go very high. It just goes a long way. So, 3 hours later, after I thought the sun was going to go down, that's where you got to consult with your planning app. You get and I had one. I just was lazy. I didn't mess with it. Oh, that's great. I'll set up. 3 hours later, there you go. At dark, though, which is about 1 a.m., the aurora glows for you. And what I like, the Big Dipper's he always plays with the aurora. So I always look north and I always find that. And it was just on the horizon. Sometimes you get the horizon lit up. Sometimes you get more of the sky lit up. In one case, when we were further into this, we got 360 degree. It was all around. So that was just a pretty preview of coming attractions. Then we hit the road again and we ran up into the Yukon. Now we're in the Yukon territory. And first thing you get to is this Dawson City, which that's where the Dempster Highway starts. If you've heard about the Dempster Highway, we'll walk into that. That's most of the story. But they welcome you to Dawson City. And Dawson City is the Klondike gold rush town. This was the epicenter of the big gold rush there. And there's a lot of very quickly built structures, mostly devoted to the economy of the gold mine and all that. And they built them pretty quick. The problem here is the permafrost. You put the building on this stuff that moves and shifts. Well, these are going to move and shift. And well, a lot of them move and shift. So, but there's other stuff you can do in town instead of looking at a bunch of beat up buildings. Take a riverboat cruise. That's the Yukon River. And you can take a float plane. Float planes are big up there. We found one place that it was a float plane airport. They just lined them up. There were 40 of them, and they all had a sign up. You want to go fly into a lake or fly somewhere, off you go. Other buildings are kind of cool. This one I thought was fun because these are rolled out oil drums. They used them as siding because they didn't have any other materials. They just used whatever they had. So and they had a little sign over here telling you about it. I'm 125 years old. Don't laugh at me. Yeah, I laughed. Yeah, Dawson City's on the Yukon River, and there are no bridges in these areas in the Arctic. In the spring, it's starting in the winter when the sun is turned away and it's 24 hours of darkness and it snows, ice builds, the whole terrain gets covered in that. And then the sun tips back and it's 24 hours of daylight and all that ice melts fast. And all these chunks of ice and debris run down these rivers. And if there was a bridge here, it'd knock it down. So there's about 3 weeks in the spring and 3 weeks in fall or winter, you can't travel because those rivers are choked. When they're melted, you use ferry. When they're not, you just drive on the ice. So get on the ferry and take a trip across the river. We did that.
The cars fit over.
Well, there's different size ferries, and I have some pictures of the ferries that show that's old semi trucks. You know, and if it's a semi truck, you can get a semi.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is an old riverboat that's crashed on the bank. You know, it's fun. You crawl all over. It's not like they had to watch you. Turons could do whatever they want up there. You know, that's a steering wheeler and just a bunch of junk from the leftover gold mines, you know, and the bank or out on the bank of the river. Just left it there. This next piece it's a dredge that it's just this big monster that this guy right here had enormous buckets on it, and they just scoop up earth. And I'll show you the buckets are this tall. And they just dig this stuff up. And here's a little picture that shows how it works. Runs on this ladder. Digs it up here, runs it into a wash plant. All the gold falls down to a trap mat, you know, burlap and rubber and that kind of stuff. And all the tailings just go out the back. They would reroute rivers to float this thing, you know, and then it'd move along. And you could do half a mile, 100 yards wide in 6 months, you know, so it was totally destructive. But they would pull out enormous amounts of gold. As a result of all the mining, you see this stuff laying everywhere. Spoil piles. They didn't do anything to clean it up. You know, when they were done with the dredge, they just left it too. So they dug the gold and left the rest. And there's a bunch of junk like that laying around now. Newer equipment, heavy equipment, wash plants. This is the front end loader that broke. That's the wash plant it was feeding. I guess the weather got bad and they just left it too. So there's stuff everywhere up there. Now we get to the Dempster Highway, and it's a park yard. That's what everybody worries about. Oh, you take the Dempster, it'll, you know, broken tires, broken windshields, broken cars. Yeah, well, that's true. We did it anyway. We thought it was fun. It's 570 miles, starts Dawson City and goes to the Arctic Ocean in Tuktoyaktuk up here. And you know, these warning signs, that's for the bridge, 30 clicks. Here in Canada, it's kilometers. You know, it's kind of a shift, kilometers to miles. If they tell you your speed is 90, which is really like 56, you can't drive 56 miles an hour on that road. It'll shake you to pieces. So here's one: no emergency medical services, drive with care. So yeah, it's true. You got to kind of prepare for it, be careful. But there's some big bonuses to it. Here's where it goes from Dawson City all the way up through the Arctic Ocean's right here, or Arctic Circle's up here, and that's the Arctic Ocean. This is the highest farthest north public highway you can drive on, crossing the Arctic Circle. There's one in Alaska, but it's private. It's owned by the oil companies to get up to Prudhoe Bay. That one's owned by the governments. You know, it's beautiful territory, gorgeous. First 2/3 of the road goes through mountainous and gorgeous scenery. But you gotta watch something. Trucks. And they fly. They don't care. They really go. Other things happen too. You're driving along and you see one of those coming, you know, get out of the way. So biggest danger is the trucks and the construction and all that kind of stuff. If you can stay in the middle of the road and be slow and be cool, it's great. It's fun. You know, scenery again, you're back to beautiful mountains. There's no fences, no telephone poles, nothing. Nothing like that. Just trucks. Lots of
You have
trucks.
any way to communicate with somebody if you needed to? When you're out there, CB?
Nope, no emergency services. We have Starlink.
Yeah.
If we had to pop Starlink, we could use that for telephone connection. And we did take telephone numbers of various service agencies at towns along the way.
Yeah.
So we had those numbers if we needed them. I also have a spot, one of those
Yeah.
in-reach spots that, you know, if I push a button, you know, that they might send somebody. You know, look at the beautiful scenery and then just you can't watch it because you're dodging trucks. But when there's no trucks, take in the sights. We did see a few, sorry,
Is that a drone shot there?
no,
No?
nope. Nope, that was not yet. There's some in here, but not that one. A few little residents along the way here. This, I don't know, that's kind of a shack, and this guy had horses. And there's no fences, they just go wherever they want. I guess if your dinner bell's over here, you're gonna stay close. But one of these guys he was hobbled, you know, the chains, and I thought that was interesting, so. It must have been a flight risk, keep on running away. Lakes along the way, there's Moose Lake, didn't see any moose in it. Here's another one, my wife's driving, we weren't towing the trailer. We left the trailer in Dawson City at the end of the asphalt. And we were living in the rooftop tent on the back of the pickup. So she's driving, because she's not towing, and I'm stop, back. You know, I see stuff like that. And I'd make her take me back, and I'd get out and I'd take the picture. I just like that. I thought the colors were great, the shapes were great. And this is our camp. You gotta find a camp. There's provincial parks or territorial, you're in the territory now, territorial parks along the way. And it's like musical chair. If you want a camping spot for the night, you gotta pull over early. Because there's a lot of people going up to these things. And if you wait till 6, 7 o'clock at night, all the camp spots are done. So, you know, the musical chair, the last guy doesn't get the chair, right? So that's the deal. And this was how we were camping. We had the rooftop tent on the truck. That's our little bathroom tent right there. And you'd pull in, pay a $20 fee in a little kiosk thing. You know, there's no fancy showers or any of that stuff. It's just kind of a flat spot to pull over. And that's how we were living. I have power in the back, diesel heater. This is the Arctic. It's late August going into September, 30 degrees at night. So it's cold. And this guy here, if you go ice fishing, that's what that's for. But it's a pretty good way to get out of the outside, and you're cooking, you know, you go in there and you can relax. The other thing I like to do when we camp, I want to find a spot where I can look around, hike, see things, get out and take some pictures. In this case, we stayed, that's the Red River. Great spot, you know, 20 feet from the back of the camp, you walked over to the riverbank. Nice views. Drone time. Get the drone out. You get that drone up high and you can see the territory around. You know, the meandering river, that's the Red River. And the road, you see the, and we'll see if a latency permits a video play, a little slow, but this was a real nice, smooth drone flight across. So you can see the view of the side of the mountain and its formations and rocks and down the valley.
You can see it's smooth there, but zoom is choppy.
Yeah. Zoom's used in the network out and back. Yeah. Sunset, you know, I go back, I'm right on the river again, right off back of the camp, sunset right there. And then what else I'm always looking for? I'm looking for that aurora. You know, I go out at midnight that night, and there's that Big Dipper again. And it was just starting to show. So I said, I guess I'll go get a couple hours of sleep. When I came back out, it clouded up. No show for that night. So in the morning off, we're going to cross this river, the Ogilvy River. And what was fun about that was where the Ogilvy River mixes with the Red River, you see where the two come together. And you can see the separate feeds over here. The Ogilvy was beautiful, clean, turquoise water. And that Red River was flowing through iron and sulfur deposits. You know, kind of stinky, kind of dirty. So it was just fun to watch where it mixed. And downstream, it wasn't as clean as it was upstream. This was the best part about this journey. You're down these roads, you know, you look down, that's what you see. There's no one around, there's nothing around. It's just open, beautiful wilderness and kind of a sketchy road. You know, that's again, it's, well, there's an airstrip too. They turned the road into an airstrip. Multi-purpose kind of thing, no stopping or parking. I didn't stop. So here we are, we're at the Arctic Circle. You know, it's 66 degrees and 33 minutes. This is a bus stop. Huh? I don't know, man. How long you gotta wait for a bus up there? I have no idea. We sat there for a while. I didn't see one, but they had some tables out and the gorgeous views around it. I took a bunch of pictures of that, made a great big panorama from it and all that. You can stay there a little while, but you gotta run up to your next camp. Keep going. This was kind of funny. I was very careful. I always try to maintain the horizon as level so that when you look at a picture, you know, it's not leaning like that, but the world was leaning like that. The picture's straight, it's level. The road, you can kind of get a feel for that. But that's the scenery. Oh, terrain, plants change. I have this lonely tree right here. One tree, nothing else. This is the permafrost where in the summertime, it'll melt about 12 to 16 inches deep. You know, it's squishy. You walk out there, squish, squish, squish. And nothing will grow on it, but these little bushes and grass-like things, and very few trees. It's wide open and the winds roar across this place. This little rainbow, there was no rain. There were clouds over here. And this 45-mile-an-hour wind ripping those clouds to shreds turned it into that rainbow. And there was a golden eagle he was lovely. He'd hang up there and then turn around, he'd fly 80 miles an hour going that way. The sun was behind him, so I couldn't really get a shot of him. He'd be on the other side, you know, you have the sun on this side and the eagle on that side. Could have got a shot, not there. It's fall in the Arctic. You know, these colors, the reds, golds, you know, it's just really, really pretty. Just on and on you go. Mile after mile, these kinds of scenes. Occasionally, you see, hey, look, the three bears. This was the weather station. And we saw them from a distance and we watched them for a while. And I think they don't travel in herds. So I think it was the mother and two cubs that were 2 years old, and she was going to abandon them when they hibernate. That was their year. But we watched, that's my guess. I don't know, I'm not sure. Keep going, see more pretty stuff. And then right in the middle of the road, this guy shows up. He was huffing and puffing and foaming at the mouth. And he came literally right alongside the truck. My wife's driving. I'm hanging out the window like a fool, taking pictures of this thing. And it's getting close. You can see foaming at the mouth, you know, and he'd gotten into, I think, a tussle with the other three, the mother of the other three. He had some kind of run-in with them because we saw him right after we saw them out of sight. But she hits the gas and takes off, trying to keep me from getting killed. Oh, I would have made great film. You know, these are your scenes. Wide open roads, beautiful open scenery as far as you can see. And then we come to the Northwest Territory. So we're up to the Northwest Territory, and they got the sign over here that says Arctic Ocean, 415 kilometers. You know, so 415 times 0.62 equals 257.2 miles to the Arctic Circle. Now we still have ways to do.
So John, you're 35 minutes in, so.
35 minutes in. Okay. You asked about a ferry. These are your ferries. And they get the boat to come across. You can see how many cars are loaded, a couple campers, a bunch of cars. Doesn't cost anything. You just drive on, stay in your car, enjoy the ride.
No cost.
No cost.
Wow.
They can't build bridges, right? It's a public road. You know, there's no fancy docks, just a dirt ramp. So you get off the ferry, and this is the McKenzie River. It's a bigger river. I launched a drone on this guy just so you could see what's going on in the area. The terrain changes significantly once you cross the McKenzie River. It's all open terrain. It's mostly flat all the way to the Arctic Ocean from here. The mountains are behind you, and you're in this big flat thing now. That's the river, you know, and these are other bodies of water that flow into it and lakes. Half of the terrain is water. This is called a pingo. It's made by frost heave. You know, it's not a water freezes and raises. These things are popping up all over the place up there. So we're now in the town of Inuvik. It's like 2,200 people. It's kind of the last outpost of civilization up in that area. Mostly Native American folks, you know, Inuit, not Eskimo, Inuit. This is one of the camps we were in. They had a tower you could climb up into. I did, and that's where that picture came from. We're almost to the Arctic Ocean now, and more pingos are here. They end up with a park that has pingos in it, and you have to. We were going to take our kayak over. You had to cross the bay to get to the pingos to climb them, but we were going to do that, but something happened to us. Now there's your Arctic Ocean. So you're at now 69 degrees, 27 minutes. And that's as far north as you can go on a public highway. We were going to stay that night, camp there, and people get in the water. They like to swim here. This danger says, be careful, currents will take you out to sea, and you know, the seals will eat you. I don't know what, I wasn't going to swim in that, it's cold. You know, the next stop from here is the North Pole.
When did you make it up there? What was the time? Was it July, August?
Well, we're probably up here, this is September 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
A lot of things close mid-September up there, so we had to beat that. And churches, you know, the town has a few things you can look at, 937 people. So it's really not a great big metropolis. It's kind of
Is it a dry town?
a dry town.
Yeah, is it a dry town? Like a lot of those, like Barrow, Alaska is a dry town.
I don't know. I don't drink, so I didn't go looking. I could have taken a crazy tour and seen some crazy Arctic stuff. One thing I did notice, the junk that comes out of the rivers is piled up in the deltas here. You know, I took a couple of those, threw them back truck during my rock collection garden now. While we were there, we were going to set up camp, and one of the local officials came out and said, you better go because the storm was moving in. And it turned out that night, exceptional low pressure system, one of the strongest on record for 100 years. You know, we were going to be camping here. So we just turned around, hightailed it back to Inuvik, got in our little rooftop tent, and that storm hit us. And that little rooftop tent was bouncing around pretty good. It was not a good night for sleeping. It was a good night for praying. So what's the focus here? You know, is it the destination or is it the journey? You know, the Arctic Ocean, you know, on the road, at the end of the road, wasn't it great? You know, it's just a piece of water in a little town. So I think the journey was, you know, the process to plan and prep and travel to the Dempster. That was the adventure. That was really the focus of the whole trip of ours. Beautiful scenery, you know, just gorgeous, but you had to be prepared. You had to plan for it. And you had to take your time. So on the way back, we're going to hit this territorial park, Tombstone Territorial Park. It has gorgeous walks, beautiful hikes.
Yeah.
Eventually. Walk through the golden fall colors. The bears up here too. We're both carrying bear spray. You know, it's like, you know, two 6-shooters. You just fall in the Arctic. Here's a river, wide open river. You can walk right out in that thing. Not very deep, it's just extremely wide. And again, that's the ice flows shred this stuff. This place was where we ran into an extraordinary aurora. You know, the sunsets were pretty. And then you run into this, the collision of charged particles from the sun with gases in the Earth's upper atmosphere concentrated on down. You know, that's what it is. But it's amazing. You're living in a green world. You roll out of your camper, you know, and it's not like you're going to take a flashlight and shine. You can see from the lights. The lights were that strong. And we had 2 nights of these overwhelming displays. You looked anywhere, they were all around you. It wasn't on the horizon. It wasn't in front of you. It was everywhere. This is the interaction with the nitrogen gas. This is the interaction with the oxygen gas. That's why you get the 2 colors. And this is supposed to be a time-lapse video If you look over here, it's really good. Look over here, it's gonna flick a little. When you look at the northern lights, it just flows like curtains. It moves, just all over the sky, constant motion. You just see these things. And it would build. You'd see this little poof come up and it would bloom all around you. It was spectacular. It was really, really pretty. We can have you look at this later if you want to see a little better.
What was the time period for the time?
Hmm?
How quickly were they?
Those pictures, when I do the aurora to do a time lapse, my average, I have two lenses. I use a 20mm with a 1.8 aperture, and I can get my exposure time 4 seconds. And I give it a second to write it to the card. So every 5 seconds, bam, bam, bam. And then the other one's 2.8, so I'm going 6 with a 1 second delay. So that's the capture time and playback time. Then we take a short trip into Alaska. You cross the out of Dawson City on what's called the top of the world highway. The Yukon River Valley was full of clouds. So as you climbed out, the whole river valley was covered. And that just looks like the top of the world. First stop in Alaska was the biggest national park in America, Wrangell St. Elias. Pretty place, beautiful place, especially with the colors. Now they have a copper mill here, Kennecott Copper Mill, and it's not active anymore, but they're preserving it as part of the national park, and they give tours. We were there too late in the year to get the tour, so we just had to walk around and look at it. One thing you can do while you're there, you walk out on the Root Glacier, and the Root Glacier is, a lot of places you go, you have to have a guide. You have to be careful. I don't know, go out here and kid yourself. You want to be a turn on, you just crampons, off you go. So that's me out there. The size of the glacier is amazing. You can see this going way up these mountains. It's hundreds of miles. The next thing we tried was an air flight, flying over these things. I've had some of the photographs from this I've shown here, but these glaciers as they navigate down these valleys, this was one that I really liked. I liked the Lonely Pond. Then we went to Homer. If you want to go to Homer, you can take flights to see, anybody ever watched the Deadliest Catch? There's a time bandit. That's the harbor for these guys. We took a water taxi and hiked up to where the glacier comes down to the lake, and you can camp there overnight. We also fly to Katmai to see the Brooks River Falls and the bears. The only way we were flying over, and I asked the pilot, "Hey, are we going to see bears?" We're docking the airplane, and these bears are just laying around. So, and this was that's Brooks Falls. And the water was full of salmon. So these guys just reach over, bring it up, eat it. It's like peeling each shrimp. And this next guy, he's funny. He was trying to catch the things as they were jumping, but he couldn't. So he's like frustrated. So yeah, I think you will see bears, and they were everywhere. It's a very unique place. It's not a zoo. They're not bound to stay there. There's just so much to eat that they do, and they're used to people. While you're there, we went to Seward, to Kenai Fjords National Park. You can climb these mountains and go up and see these. You can see the glaciers on foot, or you can take a boat tour through the fjords. You'll see a lot of different things there. You might see killer whales. We saw those. And the boat takes you to the foot of the glacier too. And that's my wife over here. Hey, look at that. We got close enough, and I was at the end of the boat, and I was taking pictures of the ice as it was falling, and I had some great shots of the ice as it falls in the water. But I thought that if the theme of this travel is tell a story, well, I thought that told a better story, because you can kind of see the people, you can kind of see the boat, the scale, that kind of thing. So that was why I chose to use that one. And then just these waters, the ice coming down right to the water.
Yeah, you're 45 minutes in.
All right, I'm done. That's one more bear. This bear was digging dirt was flying, and I had to know why. digging roots, eating roots. By the way, there are eagles. So what can you count on from Alaska? Scenic overload. Scenic overload, that's the only description of it. It's just everywhere you look, everything you see, just beautiful. Rains a lot. So what I have to go, you wanna make time lapse, this won't show very well here, but and I'll skip it. These are instructions for how to create a time lapse. There's 3 pages in JPEGs. We're gonna send a follow-up email that will tell you where you can download this stuff. And you can use these to create time lapse videos using Lightroom and Photoshop. All right, 46 minutes. 47 minutes.
Thank you, John. That was really good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Share, please.
Yes.
So we will send a follow-up email with John's information. So we'll take a short break and then come back and view our member photos after that.
All right. Lights, cameras.
A little bit of light.
Thank you, John. Wonderful.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, that was good.
If you want to see the time lapse, I'll just let it play.
Yeah.
If you,
But you
the table,
don't touch.
be aware, it's a live mic.
Watch your language.
Nicely done. That was great. Thanks.
I think it was good.
Oh, yeah.
Keep that. There's a big delay. There's a big delay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I was watching, you did, and then I saw it over here, and then 3 seconds later.
Yeah. You just learned to click early.
Yeah.
I was up in the northern Quebec. And it was probably August.
Yeah.
Driving at 2 a.m. Where they come from. There was this guy had a house. on the side of the road, and I could tell, even though it was dark, I could tell that he had a freshly mowed lawn. Coming down. Spiders. There were spiders that you just go straight. Oh, I know. You really see so much more wind arrow north. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We've done it. Iceland, here comes. That was a bloom where it's just a little bit of it comes up and then it just goes. Oh, yeah. And it blows the exposure on your camera. Yeah. So some of it's under, some of it's over, not consistent. You know, and you just deal with it.
Right.
Anyway, it was.
Yeah, you do that. I rolled out of the camp 2 nights in a row and I was out from like midnight to 3 a.m. and it's just electric. I have probably 40 gigabytes of these kinds of pictures and, you know, why did I just leave these cameras running? Now I was like, how do you sort the ones you want? When I get bored and lonely, I will. I thought I was here. Yeah, I show you. You can't see it. You see it. Yeah. And we're trying to see any details.
Okay, well, I'm the screen.
We're all with this. You know, it illuminates everything, green. Yeah.
Info shoot.
Well, no, okay, let's use those screens are, let's say that are.
This is fast.
Every 8 seconds,
New member.
right? And I I'm playing that at
What do you
like
need?
18 frames
The
per second.
new
So
member info
every
sheet, I
18
thought somebody
seconds
had a copy of it.
has every second, yeah, it compresses time. It compresses time. So
Slow undulation.
So that's a whole lot of.
Oh, yeah. Way travels.
Okay.
and the math to, again, I'm doing 18 frames a second here. Every frame is shot in 8 seconds. So for 18 frames in 1 second, 8 times 8, real time duration was around 1 frame. And I just stretch it, put them together.
Yeah, that's what I wondered, it's like, wow.
So,
And there's so many motion down here.
You do there, you do,
Oh, you are. You really see, and then they've got things that come down,
I have some of those from Iceland, the spike, it just comes straight down, they're a big red spike. Yeah.
Wow.
I love it.
Second of February, going on this 15th, coming back on 27th. We're fly to Cairo, spend a couple nights in Cairo, and then fly to Luxor, cruise down to Amsterdam. And then fly back to Cairo. Total travel time about 20 hours to get there. Unfortunately. There's a 2 flights connected short house. Doing that.
Right, okay.
In that time. Yes.
You know,
We have 3-hour connections in between. So
Okay,
plenty of
yeah,
time,
yeah.
which is good.
But
Yeah, we
you're
fly to Toronto, and then from Toronto to
I mean,
Frankfurt,
okay,
and then Frankfurt.
Okay, so 3 hours, that's fine.
So you're watching, you could get out there, shut your lens.
Right. Right, exactly. Well, so now it's
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, from the big decision now, how much can we do that?
No, that time lapse is 24 seconds, and I'm playing at 18.
And being able to slow that one for flights. I have one study our some and I took that on some other trips. There's 20 megapixels. Takes really nice pictures. Broad.
Right.
Take that.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
I have an 11,
you like it now. Yeah.
Some of that. Yeah, back to the, here, let's do this. Let's play math. Play a game of math. It's the best way for me to try to explain.
Now,
And it's always.
So if I'm every 7 seconds and I'm playing 18, so 7 seconds is one picture, and I'm taking 8 and I'm playing it in 18 frames. So if I'm
Okay, now I'm
18,
getting it.
so I'm 126 seconds
Yeah, okay.
for one frame. One frame.
Okay.
Right? Times, now, that's a 20 degrees to treasure.
Okay.
Times 20. So that's many seconds.
yeah.
That is.
It's.
And you'll-
Okay.
Now, divide by
And then maybe
60
right.
is 48 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just, saying. Right, exactly, right, yeah.
It's an all-way
Yeah,
conversation.
right.
And, you know, there's, I think there's ways of doing breakout room stuff, but it's.
It's way, no one's gonna do that, I think, yeah. Not the 10 people. Right, yeah.
Great presentation.
I think we gave John credit.
Yeah.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah, that's, I think that's the same. So
You know, I think I need to get one of those.
Yeah.
Like, keep it in my desk.
Yeah, that's the only, it's not water sealed, so.
If I fall in there, I
Oh,
got
okay.
But if I put it in,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for being the time.
Yeah.
And look at, I don't want.
Oh, really? Okay.
And, wondering, oh,
That is.
definitely there.
Okay, yeah. That's a good point. Thanks, Mike. I'll see you. Yeah.
John, this is my friend Larry. Larry, this is my friend John. Great presentation. I've been to Broomfield, well, the outfit. Is any of that? The outfit is paid. Yeah, no, they're never paid. No, they'll never pay. The outfit has some pretty rough spots on it. We ran into it. Got off.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did the LQ back in 1970, and I think we just.
You're right, probably did, and it's paid now. For, all of those drove. So we got that. And it's. Wow, it was almost.
I'll do so.
Sure. Well, you're looking for really photos. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
All right.
Well, that's really good with my hours. That logo is because we're working out.
Okay, Carl, you're on.
Okay. So, go. This is Ann. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carl, why don't you explain? We've got a bunch of new members. Tell them what the heck we're doing.
No, we have, you can submit up to 3 pictures a month. And, so we start with the assigned and we'll maybe spend a little more time critiquing these if we want to, and then we'll go through the, open ones afterwards. And we have an S1, S2 tonight too, so.
Ah, yes.
So this was Ann's picture, and, go ahead and tell us what you want about it, Ann.
Okay, this was early morning, we had just gotten up, this is along the Tour de Mont Blanc. We're in, Scarignan in France, and we were staying in this mountain hut, and this was just the view when we got up in the morning.
Beautiful picture.
For those who don't know, our assigned subject was frozen water this month in all its forms.
This thing is just giving me fits tonight. Like I said, I'm the one who mucks it up.
This is Bill.
I thought the subject matter was ice, but, and this is a little metaphor, pun, if you will. I used to have a client up in Minneapolis, and Starbucks, so I had this come around for a while. Used it extensively after George Floyd, but it struck me that I would just make a little pun of, Ice overwhelming, surrounding and dominating the city of Minneapolis.
Well, art is one of the genius
Yeah.
This is Caleb.
So a little bit of a story behind this one. It's about 20 minutes before the deadline. I was going through photos, had another photo that I was like, I'm gonna put that one into my sign. And I ran across this one from spring last year. And I was out on a walk with family and just found this little piece of ice that was on some planters. And so this is actually a composite of two shots because the family member was holding it. And my mom pulled it at the top and then pulled it at the bottom for another shot. And then, composited the two together to capture the whole thing. And I was just so intrigued by the bubbles in the ice and patterns that forms too. The light was just beautiful for that day too. So, yeah, very cool.
Good patterns.
This thing just not want to advance. My apologies, it just does not want to advance for me tonight. There it goes.
And this is my picture, early morning at Rocky Mountain, at the air show. So just a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm.
Snow, winter, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was just about. This is Gary's.
I love the frozen water up on the head. I just saw that and said, gotta take it. It's a little American kestrel.
This is Hans. I think he's on Zoom.
Hans, you
Yeah.
on?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. Yeah, this is the Monday photos we're doing. I'm like, I'll just try to take an abstract of ice on at Metzler Farm. So this is what I came up with.
Yeah.
Turned out well. It made the newspaper.
Yeah, that was cool to see. Thank you.
This is Harry.
Yeah, this is the view from NCAR right after snow, obviously. I had my sister in from New Hampshire. She'd never been here before. I drove out there and I liked it, and it looked better in black and white than in color, so I changed it to black and white.
Nice.
So what'd she think of it?
She's from New Hampshire, so what does she care? She doesn't know mountains. A 4,000 foot peak is a big mountain there. So my house is above 4,000, so she doesn't know.
They're
No,
black.
she enjoyed it. Her and her husband, they really enjoyed it.
Jim.
So this meeting, I was trying to find the ice and flowing ice, and this is the Copeland Falls, which is the Wild Basin ice version. So I actually had a bunch of failures before I went up to Cliffside Cascades and Ouzel Falls, and nothing seemed to be working. I was just walking back, and a young family was here, and they caught my attention and just speaking with it, and that's what was over the shoulder, so it wasn't an expedition.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Joan.
This was, last year in the Hoarfrost, and, it was just like right up on the street by me.
Nice.
Really nice.
Yes. Joe. See here?
Okay, somebody tell me what you're looking at here. There's a word for it.
Oh.
Frozen water.
Thinking lines.
Bill's got it going.
Japanese term, I just can't remember.
Komarabi,
Man.
Komorebi. It is the way that the sun filters through the trees and the branches to the ground. That's what you're looking at, is camaraderie.
This is, John. John's not here tonight. Well, that's mine from the, air trip over the glaciers in St. Elias. Looking out the window, the pile was great. He washed the windows before we left, which I appreciated. And I used a polarizing filter to cut the glare off the glass. So you look right through a clean window with no glare and you got gorgeous pictures.
How nice.
The moraines were fun to watch, how the ice and mud.
Wow.
Kelly, show it. You got it here?
That'll give you scale.
Yeah.
What does it say? What's the title? What glacier?
Russell Glacier in Greenland.
That one's mine. That's the National Elk Refuge just outside of Jackson, Wyoming. And of course, the elk were kind of boring, but this landscape looked pretty neat.
That's a great shot.
And this is Lonnie Mercer, and Lonnie's not here either. They're on their way to Japan, I think.
Yes.
Mark Edwards here.
Yeah, that's a glacier field, and it's one of the glaciers, the reflection in the water up in Alaska.
Nice.
Mark Punch.
Yeah, it was fine. This icicle formation, it just kept melting and then refreezing and then melting and refreezing over a period of several hours. It turned into, I thought, was a quite unique icicle.
Yeah.
Frozen water.
Nice.
Cool shape.
So did you watch it that whole time as it formed?
I actually have several pictures of it, but I would go out and take a look at it, because I figured, well, in, an hour, it's gonna fall off, but
Yeah.
it just never did. It kept kind of growing and growing, and I think this was the last shot I got of it before it went.
That's great.
I don't think Mark Castleman's here tonight.
Mhm.
Cold.
And Mike Irwin.
Yeah, Mike's down, well, his mom passed away, so he's at Freeport. But this is at Bar Lake, and the goose was on final approach there.
Yeah, they may have been expecting water, but they got hard water. Paul.
Paul here.
Guess not. Good shot.
Bill.
This is mine, taken on a hike on New Year's Day this year. Just noticed this cone in the snow. So I named it Snow Cone.
Now, did you place the needles on there, or were they just,
They were already there.
just already there?
Just a found scene in the snow.
Like it.
Those were the add-ons.
Sprinkles.
The sprinkles, that's it.
Phyllis.
That was hoarfrost last year. Yeah.
Raymond is not here tonight.
Really useful frozen water.
Yeah.
You notice the scotch is gone.
Yeah.
That's a nice clear ice cube.
Rebecca is not here tonight either. Did Wendy want to say anything?
This is Christmas lights under snow.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is mine. This is my first attempt at taking a picture of a snowflake. So this is a snowflake on top of a pine needle in my place. I was so happy that it snowed because we've had some 50 and 60-degree weather until that day.
What lens, yeah, what's that?
I was using an 85mm macro, and I'm using two stacked extension tubes. So to get that.
Turned out,
And I had profit too, so. That was really tiny.
turned out great.
Thank you.
Do more.
Okay, yeah, well, it got me going.
Jerry, Woodruff.
Yep, that's, the frost, obviously, on my, what's left of the sunflowers. And I just had more fun that day. It was so magical out.
Jim.
Spring thaw. And Talent Peak, in the reflection, and I like kind of in the center left, it's clear water, and so you have a sharp image of Talents where everything else is kind of distorted.
Nice.
Great composition.
This is mine. I was trying to take some pictures of the hoarfrost, first attempt at that. And it snows on Sunday. Monday's the deadline to submit the pictures. So I'm out trying to take this picture. It's kind of like talking to Jim about taking pictures of flowers, you know. Yesterday the light was great and the picture, flowers were all blooming. But this is one attempt in the backyard, so kind of fun.
Yeah.
The light was great yesterday. The day after, actually, Tuesday was better.
Danny.
That's the cheapest week of paprika and Murphy J. That was the first snow we had. They were probably.
You're having fun.
Zach. Hi, everyone. I also waited until the day before the deadline to take my photos. So this was a pretty recent shot from Dream Lake. I had heard sort of stories about the frozen waves up there, so I decided to go on a hike, and I probably spent longer waiting for people to get out of my shot than I did hiking.
Yes. That's the way it is.
It was worth it. It's an awesome shot.
Nice shot.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Scenic overload.
oh my God.
That's the last thing.
This is a panorama that Joni shot from the boat.
This is a lake,
Canada, or Alaska, it's Alaska tour.
Joni Goodwin, late club member who passed away a few years ago.
Yeah, and she left all her pictures to Gary. So every once in a while,
One will pop up.
he brings up her memory.
All right, this is the open category. We'll just head right through them.
And it's Ann again, start with Ann.
Yeah, and this is the Tour de Mont Blanc again with different area. I think this is the middle of this is the bottom of the glacier, and I just like the different colors of the rock, the glacier.
If I All right, I'm gonna try to get rid of these controls, but when I've been doing that, it freezes it. So we'll try it again. Yep, freezes it, so I'm sorry, folks, I'll have to stay with it. In fact, now I actually have to go back to it, so.
Sorry, this is my fault.
Okay. You know, last month it worked, and then I get 2 updates from Microsoft, and look what happens. And, it just happens all the time. Nothing, just bugs me.
Well,
Okay, back at it.
This is Bill.
This is Dream Lake. I had to wait hours for Zach to get out of the way. I didn't finally got the shot.
But I see somebody,
Yeah,
I
there's a-
see people over there.
It's nice to sun cuts, that's the snow a little bit.
Yeah. That was actually a couple years ago. No, I just waited for sunset, you know.
The clouds in this are really interesting, you know,
Yeah, it was a great day.
Caleb,
So it's up in Banff, so that beautiful place, just echoing what John mentioned earlier, but it's well worth visiting too. And I just loved the leading lines with the ice there. I was kind of trying to capture that as well. And made the most of a bit of a cloudy day too. Had just enough light to do something interesting with it. So
Great.
what lake was this?
this was Lake Louise.
We camped right there, and I've got some pictures from that too, that
Oh, very cool.
stunning area.
That was
Yeah.
this weekend. Okay.
Now, this is, mine after, a foggy morning. It cleared and left all the remnants of the fog, the moisture in the fog on the branches. That's scary.
Over at the Arsenal, this guy was about somewhere around 60 or 70 yards away. And he just found something to eat.
It's a ferruginous hawk, the largest hawk in North America.
Oh, really?
Gary, was your Kestrel from the Arsenal?
Yes, it was. That shot was.
Shoot,
But I've got kestrels from all around the city. It's amazing.
really,
They're everywhere.
really.
Need to get the phone.
Barry?
yeah, that's my shot. That's Foothills Trail in North Boulder. That's an 11 shot exposure and focus stack. That's, John was with me that morning. That was a sunrise up there in, I think it was November, right, John?
It was October, November, something like
Yeah,
that.
So you got the little color in the grass. We had a nice sunrise.
Beautiful sunrise.
So this is me waiting to get Zach out of the way and saying dreamy lake. Well, and I had the same problem, but I was looking for an ice cube to put on top of the ice and take a picture of the broken ice. But the wavy lines up there, those are the wind is blowing really seriously that day. That's the little ice particles blowing across the lower, across the ice. So my camera caught all the ice crystals blowing across the wavy lines of Dream Lake there, so.
Wow.
Was that just ice there or is that a splash?
No, that's the wavy frozen lines that are created by the sun cups in Dream Lake, and it's famous for these sun cups. And we saw Bill's picture has a little bit of snow in them, and Zach's beautiful picture too has beautiful ones also. And this is just I got this idea of having a native ice cube, and I went over and broke up the ice and fell on the ice and finally got the ice cube out. And I'm laying on the ice thrown downwards, and I'm trying to get as close as I can. I'm soaking wet, laying on the ice, and I'm trying to take this picture. So it came out with that unusual very long particles across the legs.
Separate part of our.
I just, there's a certain providence in everyone's lives. Some people like birds, or some people like panoramic. Mine is like suffering. That's the one. Yeah.
This is Joan.
Rachel Ostrop and I went to Stanley Lake one day and in the afternoon. And it wasn't frozen yet, but we got all these little sparklies off the lake. It's really pretty.
A field of bokeh.
Yeah, the bokeh. And I got a couple of them of just the bokeh. And I'm using them for overlays on, flowers and things like that. That works out really good.
Great shot.
Joe. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but this shot reminded me of the scene that you might see from the inside of an outhouse.
All right. Here's a problem. You folks that are using Macs. Macs do weird things when you say, oh, I'm gonna send them that picture. And you try to send a picture of actually what you're doing is you're sending a thumbnail that the Mac uses for doing preview work. You have to go in and find the image that you want, zip it up and send it to us. Because otherwise, this is what we get.
I think, Gary, I think there's a difference between if you drag it into the email versus attaching it.
That could well be it, because that, this is a preview. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I tried to put it in gigapixel and it just didn't do any justice,
well,
so
I could
I
see,
left it.
see the pixel dimensions up top left there, 320 by 240.
Yeah,
That is thumbnail size,
yes,
basically.
it is.
So I think he just sent the wrong file in. And
Yeah, could be.
is Joel here tonight? No,
No,
okay.
all right, back at it.
This is, John Yurchek's picture again.
Yeah.
Oh, here's that, giant glacier that you see, and there's a person on it.
Oh, yeah.
That person.
Oh.
Is this it down here?
That is the person. Yes,
Snowboarding or something.
Wow,
yeah, they were rope climbing there.
Oh, really?
When I said giant,
yeah.
enormous.
Is that where you were waiting for your lake to clear from the people?
Well, I had no room, no people in my way.
So this is Kelly Schiller again, and Kelly's having,
This was that Arctic station where she did that, where she went on that, research.
okay.
I think it's pretty much good.
Wow.
Yeah, she was on a research mission in Greenland. It must have been from that.
Larry.
That is Svalbard. We're on a small expedition ship and we weren't moving and neither was the water, no wind, and got this great panorama.
That's good.
Yeah, great reflection.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Nice.
shot.
So what country is that?
Svalbard is a territory of Norway.
Okay.
So the northern end of Norway, and then you keep going for a while.
It's above the Arctic Circle, right?
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
Good shot. Love it.
So is that a little bit like go left around the pine tree and then turn right at the big rock?
Yeah.
So, Mark, Edwin.
Yeah, this was, I was getting a head start on the open space calendar. Which was kind of funny. I went out one time before and, without, my son and his family. And, scouted it out, took pictures and how I wanted to do it and that. And we went over there this night when they were in town. And there was a meeting going on in the Bruner house and it's like people are coming out of the building all the time. I had to wait for them to get out of my way.
That was probably.
Good shot.
Make one start your own.
This is, Mark Bunch.
Yeah, I believe this is created by, you gotta have a lot of mist in the air and a little bit of wind.
Yep.
And it just, it's like a windsock, it just creates those crystals coming off the opposite direction.
Looks
To be
great.
kind of unique.
Really cool looking. What's the structure?
It is actually a tiki lamp
Oh,
stand, with no tiki lamp.
Yep.
Mark Castleman, he's not here.
That's an interesting shot.
Nice black and white.
Paul,
I don't think Paul's here.
Bill,
This is mine. This was taken in Iceland, and I like the combination of the swirls of the frozen lava with frozen water on top of it. So,
It's like a saying, but.
yeah.
Thinking the same thing.
Yeah. And you still have green moss in the middle of winter.
Phyllis,
That's at the Botanic Gardens, and the Blossoms of Light. And it was in the Japanese garden, and I love the reflection of the light and the cold water and the snow.
Yeah.
Very great picture.
Good capture.
yes. Raymond is not here tonight. Rebecca's not here, but Wendy is.
I don't know where she took it.
That would make great wallpaper.
Yeah.
No, serious. That would make great wallpaper to put into a bathroom.
They're really cool patterns.
Yeah, beautiful.
And
That's
Sherry
the-
Woodruff.
Yeah, that's Mesker Farm. I just. I like the organic shape of it. I thought I had a little bit of the horizon in it, but anyway, yeah, I just thought that was really cool.
This is a creek in Rocky Mountain National Park on the, west side of Sprague Lake parking lot. And I just kind of came upon it, and I just love not only the, you know, the cascades, but also all the hanging icicles.
Oh. And after walking around trying to find pictures of the frost, I come back home and my granddaughter and her friend are out on the trampoline, just enjoying the snow. Nobody's.
That's a good shot.
That was a good memory.
And this is Wendy's picture.
Yeah. Yeah, she loves playing ball, so.
Zoc,
I'll be the first to admit this is not my best astrophotography work. So a couple months ago, you may remember Bill submitted a picture of time lapse, long exposure of Dream Lake from an expedition we did up there. And I did the same thing with my film camera. So this is a Kodak Portra film, and this is my longest one. I had to take very detailed notes because there are no settings that you get from Foxy. This was 15 minutes on 400 speed film at f4 because I was worried about my focus, and I'm pleased with how it turned out and disappointed at the same time.
That's cool. How's that? We're learning using Broomfield, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
and
Guess what? This is on the tour of one again. The only snow and ice I saw. But yeah, this wasn't too far from the glacier one, and I think there's some glacier in this one as well. It looks amazing. Because you're not familiar with Tour Mont Blanc, it's a 100-mile hiking trail around the base of Mount Blanc, which is the highest peak in the Alps. But I don't know why, I wasn't expecting to see so many glaciers. There was just so many glaciers all the way around. So I don't know what the name of this particular glacier is in there, but I kind of like the little peak poking up through the clouds.
Yeah.
And is that part of the trail down in the lower right too? Yeah, the hike was switch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, up down here.
Yeah, we weren't that close. I think we were on the other
We're in the mountains of the pen factory.
The emotion of the cause is really.
Bill, this is an alternate photo from. The irony of this shot and the other shot was I really focused on trying to capture the ice in golden light to make the ice look as pretty as possible. Caleb. Yeah, Banff again, and it was, just solo trip extension after a work trip up there, and, yeah, so another one of those little self-portrait things where I stumbled through the snowdrifts and scrambled into place on a timer. And so, yeah, just first thing.
What time of year is this?
This was first week of November. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
borderline weather, but still nice enough that it worked out well. And actually, side note, I didn't intend for this to overlap. Wasn't really on my radar, but it worked out super well. This is the same week as the Banff Film Festival.
Oh,
And so they had like free photography walks, and courses and things like that. So, it was well worth it. And it actually wasn't that expensive, all things considered, to be there during that time. So if you get a chance to go up during that time frame, first week of November, well worth it.
All right.
Crowds are down too.
Very much so.
This is South St. Green Creek and Rocky Mountain National Park. And I thought it was so interesting that moisture from the water flow ends up with the ice forming on the rock the way it does. Icicles. Gary.
Just morning frost.
Hans isn't here. Unless he's online.
Mhm.
There he goes.
Gary.
That's another early morning hike. That's South Mesa Trail right outside of El Dorado Springs. Just a nice sunrise. That was, I think it was November. A little late in the fall, but. And I went back a couple of weeks ago after those big winds and all those trees, those dead trees were knocked down.
Oh,
So they're all on the ground now, so I'm glad I got it when I could.
yeah.
Jim.
So this is called Chasm Falls, and it's about a mile up the road of Fall River Road. So you park down to Louisville and you walk.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful spring waterfall, and I attempt to delay neutral density filter with time delay on.
This is Joe Niles' thumbnail again. That's from a boat ride in the, oh gosh, one of the national parks where the boat ride you take, you're gonna see 27 glaciers today. You know, it's just enormous scenery, comes right down to the ocean. Is that just a single shot or a panorama? Nope, single shot. All right.
That was at the Elk Refuge again, got a whole series. The guy on the right, I've got him grabbing the fish out of the creek, but everybody's got that shot. But this was a little more interesting. You're wondering what they're talking about.
Give me that fish.
Yeah.
Mark, just leaving, I believe, Rocky Mountain National Park, and it was a beautiful sunny day with complete cloud cover on the mountains, and the clouds blew off, and it just sugar frosted the mountains.
Nice.
Those are called the dragon tail and the dragon tooth couloirs is what they're called. Those two little snow paths. You can go from the left to right side if you want to. On the left side, there's a little bench and there's a dead deer that fell down the couloir about halfway and stopped. Reach up and grab the deer parts when you reach around the corner.
Oh, this is Mark Castleman, who's not here.
And Phil,
This is in Iceland, and if anyone saw the finale of Stranger Things, you might recognize this. Although in the finale, they put a little town above the falls, it's not there.
You could put it in there.
Phyllis,
And another beautiful frost. Just like the layers.
Yeah, that's.
Raymond, not here tonight.
That's almost like Phil's shot.
Yeah, cool. Raymond hasn't been here in years. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, he wanted to be here tonight, but he couldn't make it.
Rebecca is not here, but Wendy is.
I don't know where she took that.
Front yard?
No, I don't think.
And it's Tim.
So that is in El Dorado Canyon State Park. Phil will get mad at me if I don't tell you that I removed a telephone pole and died. And while the sky was similar, I did replace it because it was just too bright for, you know, the whole image is, you know, like overcast, you know, and so I did replace that sky.
Good job.
Thanks for sharing.
Probably got to the policy, aren't you?
Yeah, new policy coming.
Before you get off that one picture, I want to emphasize that I think we should be careful to disclose when we do things like Tim has talked about, and not just try and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Oh, would anybody know?
I'm sorry, shoveling driveways and smelling frost and everything, I just had to remind myself that spring was gonna come. And I like the orange and the blue contrast, and blue bonnets and faces.
Yeah.
Looks nice.
Oh, baby.
That was that, Rock Mountain Arsenal a couple weeks ago. Metal art, yeah.
So what kind of metals was that?
So I should go to this session?
It was 600 millimeters.
Oh, okay. I'm not prepared.
Zoc,
This was the Gemini meteor shower. I found myself down in New Mexico, with my girlfriend and her family over, the holidays. This is a old, 400-year-old Spanish mission that's managed by the National Park Service, and unfortunately, it's closed to the public. But it's amazing what you can accomplish with a phone call. I called and this were willing to work with me to bring me access to the site. This is to be disclosing as well. This was a 15 minutes worth of exposure that I used PixInsight, Photoshop, and Lightroom to process the data from.
Good job.
What time of day is this?
This was about 9 p.m. To the, I'm trying to the west. So in this image, I'm facing southwest, and to the west is Albuquerque. Okay, so some of the light from that is casting the horizon.
Very cool.
That's it.
oh, you got the S1, S2.
Oh, yeah.
If you got out to this year's
Yes,
Gemini,
we
it
do.
was an excellent show.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it was so.
Well, come on.
Actually, when meteors, there's that. Thank you. Was it Broomfield?
Okay,
No.
Or the long?
I did.
So- for the benefit of our new folks here this evening, we do have a special category where you can submit a before and after, if you're doing any type of special processing or something that you would like to show and demonstrate that. So here we go. This is one.
So this is Mark Adler's picture. Yeah, this is actually a drone shot. And by itself, I mean, it's nice. It's got some nice colors in there.
But then go ahead to the next one, Gary, when you bring out the colors and then what you get. I thought it was interesting, the difference in the colors.
Hanksville. Hanksville, Utah.
Yeah.
That's the place to fly a drone.
Yeah,
Oh, it's fantastic.
I think that's where that was, yeah.
Wow.
What file type were you shooting on with your drone?
What's what?
What file type were you shooting on with your drone?
File type? I would guess it was raw.
Okay.
When you say
But
green,
sometimes it does a JPEG by, you know, I know that.
is that increasing saturation, is that what you get?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. That's
Yeah,
a
also
wonderful
that's,
demonstration of that. That's great.
Just normal, if I understand correctly, Mark, that's just normal changes the photography does. We all do saturation, or we all do something like that.
Yeah.
Hit the buttons and.
Great.
That's very cool.
That's it.
Thank you, everybody. And we'll send out a follow-up email with John's information.
Definitely worthwhile, Mary.
Yeah, glad.
I had a benefit right now, we started.
Yeah.
Can someone turn on the lights back there?
Doing it silver than anybody other.
Most miserable.